So thanks for having me here today. I am going to talk about something a little bit different, but I actually know how Larry Seiler feels today because when you do appear at the end of the program, your talking points have been taken. So just know that my speech was actually written before I got here. I didn't take notes and put it all together based on what everyone had to say. But I do think that it drives home the point that there are some really common themes in social media. And today what I'd like to talk about is why social media should be part of a marketing mix. And whether you're a business owner or you work in marketing at a big company, everyone knows that part of a traditional media mix is like print advertising, radio. It's probably the first thing that comes to mind. It also can include direct selling, direct mail, promotions, and public relations. And I have to digress for a second on public relations. I think social media is a great part of public relations. And too many people, when they think of public relations, they think it's what happens at 5:01 when you grab out the, the cocktails and you glad hand and you smile and you get introduced to people. And as a former PR pro, it just is like nails on the chalkboard to me. Oh, I've got a little PR to do. Great. So I contend that you can actually do a lot of good and a lot of PR through social media. And like public relations, where what you're trying to do in public relations is really represent your company through anything you do, whether it's how somebody answers the phone to actually earning media, it takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work. And I think a lot of people don't do public relations, they think they do, but they're not really doing it because it takes time. And it's a little bit of work, right? Like social media. Social media takes time and it's a lot of, it is a lot of work if you want to do it well, which is why I probably haven't had those 15 tweets a day. Now I'm going to have to go home with a new goal. But first of all, I want to talk a little bit about why it should be part of the media mix. I better get back to my actual talking points. I think that social media is a great way to convey a personality of the brand. There's only so much personality you can convey in tone. Yes, I know writers, you can convey tone, but there's only so much that can be done with the written word. It's also a great way to reach out to people who have different buying styles and who have different media consumption styles. So let's take a little look here at how you convey personality of the brand. I was reading online this definition, so I had to steal it. It said a brand experience is integrating brands into people's lifestyles. It's adding value to consumers' experience of your brand. It's all about engaging rather than interrupting, which I think social media is too, right? If people want to engage or interact with you, they do it on their terms. It's not like they're annoying you at the dinner hour at 6 o'clock and your phone's ringing for some stinking telemarketing survey or some political call about why you should support that candidate, right? It's their terms. If they don't want you to reach them, they don't want to hear your message, they don't have to tune into you. Also, brand experience is about captivating an audience, not capturing it. And I love that. How many times can we capture someone's attention? And social media can be really captivating. And a brand is developed by how a consumer experiences your product or your service, right? And think about Disney, for example. Whenever I think of brand experience, I think of Disney. Perhaps it's because I had 2 children and I've spent far too much money with Disney. But Disney specializes in making experiences magical, right? They're not just selling videos or books or little plush toys, although it might feel like that's where all your money is going. Disney is all about selling the experience, and the experience is magical. So if you're watching fireworks, you're not just watching fireworks at Disney, you're watching a choreographed show, and Tinkerbell might just fly over your head, right? It's so magical. Well, just like they're creating that brand experience that you are actually experiencing there physically, we can create brand experiences online as well. I think social media naturally lends itself to be an experience. It's all about interaction. It's all about, again, captivating the audience. And there's also something that it can do, and we heard about it here today too from Katie and Larry. It can put a face on it. So it's not just big corporate farming. It's a family farmer. it's not just a big seed company, it's a family-owned seed company. At least that's what I tried to do with Latham Seeds, is put a face on our company, which I forgot to give a plug, so I've got to stop and do it now. You can follow me on Twitter at Latham Seeds. And I need some followers because I don't tweet 17 times a day yet. So, at Latham Seeds on Twitter. And again, it's all about putting a face on a company, a person, a product. It's creating an experience, and it's becoming real. So even though a lot of people have talked about becoming real today, they haven't talked about it like this. I got thinking, whenever I think of becoming real, it made me think of the Velveteen Rabbit, and I gotta confess, it's been a lot of years since I read the Velveteen Rabbit, but it's still one of my favorite books. And so for those of you who might have older children, or you yourself haven't read it in a while, I just have a quick excerpt that I want to share. The skinned horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches, and it showed the seams underneath, and most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to be as thin as a string bead necklace. He was wise, for he had been in there for so long. He'd seen so many mechanical toys arrive, and they would boast and swagger, but soon they would break and pass away. He knew that they were only toys, and they would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is very strange and wonderful, and only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced, like the skin horse, could ever understand it. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day when he and Skin Horse were laying side by side. "Does it mean that things have a buzz or that you have a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you're made," said the Skin Horse. "It's the thing that happens to you. Becoming real takes time." So if there's one thing to remember, I think, whether you're starting to blog, tweet, or do Facebook, you're not just going to have that credibility overnight. You're not going to have that business or that audience overnight. When we started blogging, I have to confess, I was in a room full of about 17 men, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. "A blog? What's a blog? Why would we spend time on a blog? I cannot believe you are diverting print advertising funds to a blog." So I didn't want to admit failure, because what I said is, how can you lead if you're not the first, right? So we are going to start a blog. But really what I was doing was feeling my own passion for writing, because one day I woke up and I thought, man, for someone who owns part of their own business, I'm not very happy. Why don't I like my job more? And I realized it's because, like my husband's passionate about golf and gets energized by chasing around the little white ball, I get energized by writing, and I really needed that. So I thought, well, self, why not create a job that you would like to come to? And so I decided to start my blog. And I know, Darcy, it can be a challenge to fit that time in. My favorite time of the day to write is about 5 a.m. So, and honestly, that's how I fit in the time to blog, but I just decided it was one of those things that helps feed my soul. So yes, now you know my dirty little secret, often 5 a.m., I'm working on my blog. But again, it's something I enjoy, so it doesn't feel like work. I think that's, probably my work preference, one of my work styles. We also know that people have their own sort of learning style. And now that kids are back in school this week, or mine go back next week, it made me think of different learning styles. Some kids learn really well in a classroom situation. All they need to do is listen to the lecture, and they retain it. Other people need to read a book. Some people like myself, I need to listen and read the book and maybe listen to it on video later. So there's these different learning styles with audio, visual, and social media has them both. So that's another reason that I love social media so much, is just because you want to watch a video on how to make a cupcake look like a flower, you can find it. The other thing I like about it is that social media can really pertain to different personality styles. Now I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, but mine is driver, more like driver personality. I want information quick. Give me the bullet points, tell me what I need to know, let me make my decision, and I'm moving on, checking you off the list. My husband, on the other hand, has got an amiable personality. He's so likable. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to him, he is. But he's also a little bit introverted, so great. Social media is great for him, right? He can interact with people on his terms when he wants to, doesn't really have to go face-to-face, but he also needs proof, and you can find that through social media. Then there's my daughter. Those of you who know her, she's so social. She's all about the social. So, how can you make it fun? So how can you use social media to promote your product, services, yourself or your company in a fun way for those social people. I think their opportunities are limitless. And for those analyticals, it's also a perfect fit. Analyticals need support and data. They can never have enough data. They need statistics, they need testimonials, and lo and behold, you can provide testimonials through social media. So last of all, I just want to talk briefly about media consumption styles. And I'm sure that there are some people who rush to the front door to grab their newspaper with a cup of coffee. My newspaper, I hate to admit it, can sometimes be there for 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to get the paper. Because what I like to do is take my hot beverage, sit down at the computer, and check out the headline news. We know that some of these styles are also based on age preferences, right? Like Stacy was talking about how to reach out to the college audience. Facebook has been very effective. Like Stacy, I've learned too, Twitter's been a great way for me to interact with business colleagues, industry professionals, and people that I want to network with. And so we've also learned too through research that college audiences are quick to use text messaging, Facebook and Twitter. I am now the proud parent of middle schoolers, and I cannot believe how they get their news. And the point was driven home to me this summer. We had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. I was so excited to take my kids to the National Zoo, because when I went to Washington, D.C. for the first time on my Citizenship Washington, D.C. 4-H focus trip, my highlight, other than going to the Capitol, my highlight was going to the zoo, because I could not wait to see the panda bears. So the first thing I wanted to do was take my kids to the zoo. I kind of forgot about the fact that they've been to really great places like, underwater adventures at the Mall of America and Omaha, because I was so focused on the pandas. And so we get to the zoo, the National Zoo. It was like taking planes, trains, and automobiles to get there from where we were, and it's hot. Whoa, is it hot? But we get there, we wait in line, we see the pandas. And I was so excited. And it was such a non-event to them. They're like, really, Mom? And that's pretty much how they said it. Really, Mom? We came all the way for this? And I'm like, well, how exciting. These are the pandas. Not every zoo has them. They were a gift from China. And they're like, we've seen them before. We Googled them. We made a PowerPoint about panda facts. And I just felt like I was so old school. So I guess the take-home message for me at that moment was, you know what? Virtual is now their reality. It really didn't matter that they hadn't experienced it firsthand. To them, they had experienced. So some people can look at that as a challenge. I'm going to choose to look at that as an opportunity. How can we create experiences so great online that people feel like they know us, people feel like they know our companies, our products, and so we can make that virtual experience be just as good as the reality. So I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. I might be over. I'm over. Okay, well, thank you so much.